Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today I want to talk about something a little bit different. You may remember months ago, back before we knew that Doctor Who was continuing, that we got a rather odd announcement that the BBC was going to commission a CBeebies spin-off for Doctor Who, a kids animated spin-off. They wanted to basically make it, but at that time it was literally just a pitch. It was a pitch to companies to basically say, hey, we'd like to make this show. If anyone feels like picking it up and actually making it, let us know. Basically, that's what they were saying. But now, we actually have it confirmed that it will be going ahead and they have secured a partner for it. So I want to go over this little bit of news because I think it's actually quite interesting. And it actually kind of ties into something I said in yesterday's video about the audience of Doctor Who and audience fragmentisation, which, if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend it. I was really pleased with how that video came out. But yeah, I just want to dive right into this. Subscribe if you're new. We do regular Doctor Who updates. We do regular Doctor Who content here on the channel. And we've just passed 30,200 subscribers. Can we make 31,000 by Christmas? I don't know, probably not. But a man can dream. A man can dream. Blue Zoo Animation Studio wins pitch to produce Doctor Who CBeebies animation. It marks the first time the Whoniverse has been expanded into an animated series for preschool audiences. Following a competitive pitch process, British animation studio Blue Zoo has secured the contract to produce a brand new Doctor Who preschool animation for CBeebies and BBC iPlayer. BBC's Children's and Education invited UK producers to pitch the opportunity in June 2025 for fair and open selection from a strong field of producer pitches. Blue Zoo's proposal scored highest against the published criteria. This exciting new animated series, inspired by the beloved Doctor Who universe, is commissioned for 52 11-minute episodes over 2 series and will begin production in 2026. It marks the first time ever the Whoniverse has been expanded into an animated series for preschool audiences. Patricia Hidalgo, director of BBC Children's and Education, said, "We can't wait to welcome the Doctor to CBeebies, introducing this beloved family favourite to our youngest audiences for the very first time. This new series further strengthens our commitment to the British animation industry by championing homegrown productions with the potential to travel the world and perhaps even through time and space. The bidding process of this project was exceptionally competitive, and we would like to commend all the shortlisted producers for the outstanding quality and the depth of their proposals." Adam Shaw, co-founder of Blue Zoo Animation, says, "This year we celebrated 25 years of Blue Zoo, so it's an extra special honour to be given the chance to bring a much-loved classic and true British icon to a whole new generation of young viewers. Doctor Who means so much to so many people, and we don't take that lightly at all. Reimagining something this legendary for a preschool audience is a brilliant creative challenge, and one we're incredibly excited to dive into." BBC has previously collaborated with Blue Zoo on popular CBeebies programs such as Number Blocks, Alpha Blocks, and Mojo Swap Tops. I don't know what any of these are. Let me look them up. Let me look up Number Blocks. Okay, looks like an animated thing to do with counting. That makes sense. Yeah, interesting stuff. What's Alpha Blocks? Okay, basically the same thing but with letters. Okay, that makes sense. You can tell I'm out of my element here, can't you? And then we've got Mojo Swap Tops. Mojo Swap Tops. Car? There's a car in it. There's a car, and he's like it's a Hawking car. Cool. Can he like change vehicle parts? It looks like it. Is that the swapping element? I'm assuming so. It looks alright though, visually, I have to say, for a kid's animation. I don't know what I'm looking at. So you might be wondering why I'm making a video dedicated to this, because I'm not exactly the target market. But you'll remember I spoke about in a previous video how television viewing is increasingly atomized at the moment, and one of the issues I think RTD2 had was trying to make a show that appealed to everyone. Having episodes like Space Babies for really, really young kids. In the same series, you'd have something like 73 Yards. And those two things obviously don't really feel particularly compatible. And what's interesting, I think, about this combined with now The War Between the Land and the Sea, it seems like a strategic decision to basically atomize Doctor Who a little bit further, in much the same way as we had it in the 2000s, where you would have Torchwood for the adults, you would have Doctor Who for kind of, sort of kids and early teens, and then you'd have like Sarah Jane Adventures for the younger kids, basically. And I think that's what they're going to do with Doctor Who going forward. I get the vibe that we might not get as many episodes like Space Babies in the main show, because you'll have a show like this to bring in the really, really young kids, essentially. And if that works, I think it could actually be very, very effective, especially because things like Bluey and stuff like that are huge and really get people invested into these franchises. So the idea of getting kids invested in Doctor Who this early and basically, you know, allowing them to grow up with the main show when they're older, I actually think is pretty smart and could potentially get younger kids into Doctor Who in ways that has been difficult for them to get into it as of recently. Because obviously in the 2000s you had something like Sarah Jane Adventures, which was obviously CBBC, not CBeebies, but it was something that, you know, obviously younger kids could enjoy and get into the show through. And obviously I know many kids in school who only watched Sarah Jane Adventures at the time, and they even called K9 the Sarah Jane Adventures dog. They thought it was just Sarah Jane Adventures. They didn't know. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's actually a very good idea for getting like kids involved in Doctor Who and giving them something that they can watch, and also then you can make a TV show, a main TV show that is a bit more mature, because the younger audience is now catered to with something. Obviously, be cool as well if we got a CBBC thing, more in the vein of Sarah Jane Adventures, but budget probably means that that's unlikely. But an animated thing for CBeebies, I actually think is a good idea. Like, I've seen people saying, like, oh, well, I don't want a kid program for Doctor Who, and it's like, yeah, but we're not the audience for this, like. But I think that's good. I think it's good that it's this, again, like with War Between Land and Sea, which is what I was saying yesterday, it picked an audience and it stuck to it. And I think if that's the kind of way that we deal with Doctor Who going forward, we have shows for little kids, shows for adults, and then shows for kind of in the middle, I think that works out better than trying to make Doctor Who into this thing for all three categories, which is what I think they've been trying to do, and I don't think it works. I think if anything as well, the fact that they said that the kind of bidding process for this and the, you know, pitching process for this was incredibly competitive kind of implies to me that this brand is not as dead as people like to make out that it is. The fact that we are getting a CBeebies spin-off, the fact that Doctor Who mainline production is continuing, and the fact that the spin-off has exceeded expectations, I think just shows that for whatever the internet wants to say, I don't think this show is as dead as some people would like us to think that it is. But that's all I wanted to say, really. I was just kind of interested in this news. I don't know whether anyone else is, but I was, so I wanted to talk about it. But if you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a like. Subscribe if you're new, that'd be greatly appreciated. Watch yesterday's video because I'm really proud of it, and I'll see you later.